Hey everyone, I'm Matt Ford and welcome to the Good Trouble Show. It's the end of 2024 and mystery drones are operating above the skies of New Jersey. The White House is acting as if this is something new, something they have never seen before, something they are going to get to the bottom of. But are these drone incidents new?
Tonight, a growing mystery in the night sky over Colorado. Fleets of unidentified drones reportedly flying in grid patterns, even spotted by law enforcement.
I had what I believe to be a drone pass over me, and it was headed towards Yuma.
So far, this video they shot is the best evidence to emerge. The sightings reported across 5 counties in Colorado, as many as 30 drones flying in formation, some with wingspans estimated at 6 feet.
That was December of 2019 in Colorado, but it didn't stop there.
The enigma puzzling Colorado and Nebraska law enforcement in more than a dozen counties. Witnesses say the drones typically appear after sunset, as many as 30 flying in formation, 200 to 300 feet above ground, some with wingspans estimated at 6 feet.
That same December, the drones moved north into Nebraska, operating well into January of 2020. Again, more reports of drones up to 6 feet in size. Let's fast forward to December of last year.
New reports that mysterious drones are swarming a U.S. military base and did so for 17 days in December of last year. Wow. New reports of something that happened in December that breached our national security? The Pentagon says it's stumped, with no idea who is behind it.
In December 2023, U.S. Air Force commanders at Langley Air Force Base in Southern Virginia, home to the F-22 Raptors, noticed over a period of 17 days, dozens of unidentified drones would begin flying over the base shortly after dusk each night. The Air Force, by federal law, was not allowed to shoot these mystery drones out of the sky. The White House reportedly called for national security meetings to discuss how to address drones possibly sent by a foreign adversary. There were concerns about using electronic warfare or jamming systems for fear of interfering with commercial air travel over the holidays. 3 months earlier, mysterious drones were also spotted flying over a sensitive nuclear facility in Nevada. It is not clear whether these incidents were related.
The drone incursions at Langley Air Force Base, which lasted almost the entire month of December of 2023, was so severe the United States Air Force had to relocate an entire wing of F-22 fighters to another base. On top of that, they had NASA fly one of their high-altitude surveillance planes for hours above Langley Air Force Base to gather data on these drones. Let's jump to November of 2024.
The U.S. Air Force says unidentified drones have been spotted over 4 joint U.S. and U.K. military bases in England. The mysterious drones have repeatedly appeared for over a week now. Stephanie Bennett is live in London. So, Stephanie, this is pretty disturbing. What do we know about these drones?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Julie. I mean, the details are still very limited at this time. We do know that the sightings started last week on November 20th, and they have really ranged in size, in style, and also the amount that we've been seeing over that last week or so. Now, a senior British official confirmed to Fox that the UK has deployed about 60 troops, including counter-drone specialists, to help determine who is behind this and to help defend the air bases amid fears it's a potential coordinated operation. They're describing the incidents as unusual and say this is a serious set of circumstances. Take a look at this map. The bases are spread across England and are all used by U.S. Air Force. Now, the drones have been seen over RAF Fairford, Lakenheath, Mildenhall, and Feltwell. For now, civilian police, supported by the UK Ministry of Defence, have launched an investigation. And so far, we're told there has been no impact to residents or infrastructure, and they have not been identified as hostile.
General Ryder, there have been a number of incidents in England with drones targeting U.S. bases, kind of swarming U.S. bases, challenging security. Do you believe they have hostile intent? Do you believe they were sent by a foreign adversary? What is happening what can you tell us about these drones?
What I would tell you, Jennifer, is that they are being actively monitored. Installation leaders have determined so far that none of these incursions impact the base residents, the facilities, or the assets that we have on those bases. We're, of course, continuing to work with host nation authorities and our mission partners to ensure the safety of our personnel, our facilities, and the equipment. The bottom line is it's something that we're going to take seriously. We're continuing to look into it, but as of right now has not had any significant mission impact.
Why not shoot them down?
Well, I won't get into force protection measures. We, of course, always maintain the right to defend ourselves if we deem something to be a threat. But again, we'll continue to work with the local host nation authorities there.
Do you think it's linked to the drones that were sighted at 3 or 4 different locations back in December of last year that we reported on recently on the state side?
Yeah, I don't want to speculate and draw unnecessary connections. Again, this is something that we'll look into. As you know, small UASs, drones, have become something that's, relatively common now across the landscape. It's something that the department has been looking closely at in terms of how it applies to our facilities, our personnel, whether it's in combat zones or outside of combat zones. But in terms of these particular incidents in the UK versus the ones in the States, again, I don't want to speculate that there's any connection.
They don't appear to be those of hobbyists. Is that correct?
Again, it would be, premature to draw any conclusions. We've got to see what these are. I mean, it's entirely possible that it could be hobbyists or something else. We just got to look into it. So,
who knew drone hobbyists were on a world tour flying drones above military bases? I need to get in on that. Seriously, though, the point is that this is nothing new, folks. This is absolutely nothing new. Every time it happens, the Pentagon says, we are going to look into it and we will get right back to you. Well, they never do. The Pentagon knows that historically these drone events end about, usually about after 2 to 4 weeks. And when they do, people move on, and the Pentagon is more than happy to move on as well, hoping that they get no more questions about this stuff. Guess what? Here we are again, this time with drones operating with impunity over the skies of New Jersey. Here to talk about what is flying above the homes of the town of Belleville, New Jersey, please welcome to the show Mayor Michael Melham. Mayor, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So what are the citizens of Bellevue reporting, and for how long? How long has this been going on?
I mean, it's been going on across New Jersey for about 3.5 weeks now. I must say it was pretty quiet for us the first couple of weeks, but as of Wednesday, we became inundated. I mean, Wednesday, Thursday, and it did simmer down a little bit on Friday last night. We've been inundated with swarms and swarms of drones coming in nightly. It's been a little chaotic here because people just are curious and they have no idea what's going on. And now it's starting to turn into fear because we just can't get any transparency from our federal government.
And that was actually going to be my next question. Are your citizens, are they concerned about this? Are they amused? Are they concerned? How are they reacting to all of this?
I can tell you that they are definitely concerned. They're certainly not amused. I mean, when you have flying objects hovering 100 feet or a couple hundred feet above your home, you're definitely not amused about that. And being that we live in the United States of America and we have a fairly substantial federal budget and we have a fairly substantial military and defense, you would think that somebody would be able to give us some answers as to what is hovering just over our homes.
Now, it's been reported that these drones have been hovering over critical infrastructure in New Jersey. Is this taking place in Belleville?
So we do have a critical infrastructure here in Belleville. We haven't seen them hovering over that critical infrastructure, but you're absolutely correct. We had a very interesting briefing on Wednesday. It was a one-of-a-kind briefing where 200 mayors were gathered up, along with every member of our state legislature. And that was a security briefing that was unprecedented. It had never happened before. And one of the first things that we were told is that these drones are indeed hovering over critical infrastructure. And depending on how you digest that, it's either cause for concern or comfort. Concern if it would be a foreign actor, and we don't know who that is, or cause for comfort if you actually believe, like I'm starting to be led to believe, that this might indeed be our military or our defense capabilities. And therefore, you would want them up there as a countermeasure to whatever going on. The question is no longer who's operating the drones. I think that's kind of obvious. The question is, why are they here and why do they appear to be on patrol?
In this meeting, did they offer any specific guidance to mayors such as yourself as far as how you should handle this, how you should message to the citizens in your city?
Again, this was Wednesday, so lots happened since then. But during that meeting, it was really just we advise you to engage your residents and inform them that shooting upon these drones is a federal offense to shoot on an aircraft, because drones are considered an aircraft when they're in the sky. And we were advised and told to reiterate the fact that if you do fire upon these, you are firing on an aircraft, and that would be against federal regulations. And they did make sure they wanted us to know that you can't fire on drones. But that was a couple days ago. They've since we've gotten clearance on how to now deal with the down drone. And that kind of made some news yesterday when we finally got that guidance on how to deal with a down drone.
What is your opinion as far as how the governor of New Jersey? I know there's been a lot of criticism leveled at the federal reaction. How do you feel about how the governor has handled this entire incident that continues to this day?
There's been criticism. There's no doubt about that. Early on, he came out about a week ago and said that I have no idea what they are, but there's no cause for concern, which nobody's buying that anymore. And then when we had that unprecedented briefing, again, in the history of New Jersey, every single mayor has never been assembled under one roof with members of the state legislature for a security briefing, and the governor was a no-show. I mean, our governor here, he did approximately 250 press conferences for COVID, and yet he's still not done a press conference about this.
Unbelievable. I actually wasn't aware of that. I figured he had at least been out in front of the public to discuss this. Now, you caught one of these drones on your I believe your cell phone, and I'm going to play that clip. And if you wouldn't mind, just tell us what we're looking at here and where you took this and when this happened.
Yeah, this was my first encounter. Actually, I believe this was on Thursday, a couple days ago, and I was home. I heard an interesting sound, a sound I had not heard before. I got up, I ran to the window, realized didn't have my phone, doubled back, grabbed my phone. Now, I will say there's been widespread speculation about that second light, and when it gets in front of the cloud there, it does seem like another one comes out right there. The internet and social media is abuzz with this clip. I am one to say that I was shooting through a glass window, and it might very well. I'm no aviation expert, nor am I a video expert, but it may very well be a reflection. I was not aware of that when I shot that. Actually, this clip went to CNN for an interview, and it was only after CNN ran it that other people on the internet and social media start to dissect it. So I'm not quite sure what that other little orb is or what that other little light that comes out of it is, but I did shoot it. I did see it come right past my house. I heard it. I saw the lights. These are not manned aircraft. It's insulting for the administration to tell us here in New Jersey that we're all nuts, that we're all seeing things, that we can't distinguish the difference between a manned plane and a drone hovering over our houses. It's insulting, but that's something that I saw. We have reports here in Belleville. I had a flight attendant call me 2 days ago who said I'm seeing 4 right now. She knows the difference between a plane and a drone. And I also had a police officer actually catch one on video, and he's actually a licensed drone operator. We're not nuts. We're not seeing things. These are not airplanes.
And you're quite convinced in what you have seen and what you're hearing from your constituents that this isn't sort of normal drone technology or misidentified private or commercial aircraft.
I'm certain of that. Now, I'm not going to say that there is no misreadings here. I mean, now in New Jersey, there's paranoia that's spreading. People are looking up in the sky. I mean, I was going to dinner yesterday, and we're in the parking lot, and people are looking up at the sky. There's a lot of people looking at the sky for the first time, or people that haven't really focused on the sky in some time. And they got their phones out there, and everything they see, they think is a drone. I'm sure there's some miscategorization going on, but I'm going to tell you that there's definitely drones up there. I mean, the first day I saw it, which was Wednesday, I went to my balcony, I looked out, and it was the equivalent to looking into a forest and seeing those lantern bugs or those lantern flies with the green and blinking lights coming back at me. It was unnerving, to say the least, because I know exactly what my sky looks like at nighttime, and it wasn't that.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's really just amazing that this is going on and seeing this sort of what I would say ineptness from the federal government and how it's responding to this. So speaking of which, finally, what would you like to see in terms of a response from the federal government?
I mean, I want some transparency at this point. I think that the lack of transparency is what's fueling all these conspiracy theories that are going out online. I've developed a unique line of thought on this, and I've really taken into account what we were told. When I went to that briefing, we were told, when you leave here, you're going to know exactly what the state of New Jersey knows. It was very little. But I did get some nuggets out of that. I mean, they told us, first and foremost, they're hovering over critical infrastructure. They told us there's no credible threat. How they can know that if they don't know where they're coming from, I don't know. But when you put that stuff together, hovering over critical infrastructure, no credible threat, they told us for sure they're not going to shoot them down. And they also told us they're not interested in a no-fly, a ban on drones. When you put all that together, wow, in conjunction with blinking lights, it adds up to it's probably our government. I mean, if it was little green men, if it was something terrestrial, you don't need blinking lights. If it was a foreign adversary looking to do us harm, you don't need the blinking lights. The fact there's blinking lights is almost telling me for sure this is government. And if it's government, maybe that actually is comforting to knowing that they're over our critical infrastructure. But the question is, why are they there? Are they aware of a threat? You could put a drone up in the sky for 5 minutes and take pictures. Put a drone up in the sky for 5 minutes and take mapping. The fact that they're patrolling, the fact that they're moving in a grid-like pattern, it appears like they're looking for something. Is our government aware of a threat? And do we have assets that are previously unknown to members of Congress, United States senators, and certainly the state of New Jersey? Are we deploying assets up there that are ours, that are previously unknown because they're aware of a threat and they're searching for something? That's what we want to know.
Yeah, that's what we want to know for sure. And, and I can tell you, we actually have been, for about the past month and a half, conducting pretty in-depth interviews with the former police chief of a city that I can't speak of, up in Nebraska. And they had, during 2019 and 2020, I can tell you virtually identical drones swarm their small towns. These are towns with maybe a population of 3,000 or 4,000 for a literal 2-week period. So, so this happened 2019, 2020 in both Colorado and Nebraska. And then as we recently mentioned in an episode, this also occurred over Langley Air Force Base last year, exact time last year, where the drones were so prolific for literally the entire month of December, the United States Air Force had to relocate an entire wing of F-22 fighters to another airport because these things had completely disrupted all air operations at Langley Air Force Base, which is, of course, an incredibly critical Air Force base for our national security. So in my opinion, this is something the government has been well aware of, at least since 2019. They really need to come clean because they're leaving you guys hanging in the dark. That's not fair to you. It's not fair to your constituents, and really, it's not fair to every American. But Mayor, please go ahead.
I'm sorry, it's not. I mean, you can't tell me that they don't know what's flying in our airspace. I mean, they have technology that they can read your driver's license number from a mile up in the sky, probably while it's still in your pocket. So you can't tell me that they don't know what's flying around our airspace.
I couldn't agree more. Mayor Melham, thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll have you back on, and you'll have some answers from the government as far as what is going on above your town. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.